Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. On this podcast, Lane and Frank, we're now on episode 220. So 220 episodes through, I got an action-packed episode planned for you. The Oklahoma City Thunder have won the NBA championship. The NBA draft is this week. I went to Fanatics Fest where I got some great interviews with Malik Neighbors, Jackson Dart, a few other guys. Great time there. Talk about it in this episode. Florida Panthers are kings of the NHL. The LSU Tigers just won the College World Series, and so much more to go into in this episode 220. Let's hop into it. Let's start off episode 220, how we always do, with our headlines in the NBA. First things first in the NBA, we're going to talk about the NBA champions, Oklahoma City Thunder, who took it in 7 games, the first 7 games NBA Finals series we've had since 2016. Both teams played tooth and nail, fought out great series. Both teams had one road win. It was balanced out well. Home court advantage did its thing in Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7. That's what we like to see in a series like this. It's just tough to see a guy like Tyrese Haliburton, who starts off so well in Game 7, who's had arguably the best playoff run of any player this decade, to tear his Achilles in Game 7. Not just for the aspect of not playing in Game 7 in any aspect after the first few minutes of the game, but to miss all of next season. A guy who's on the verge of becoming a top 10 player in this league, might already be a top 10 player in this league, to become that next Shai Gilgeous-Alexander type of level player. For him to be out all of next season, it's heartbreaking. It reminds you of the Kevin Durant injury from 2019, where he was coming back from a calf injury. You're saying, be careful, calf injury can lead to an Achilles injury. And of course, he tears his Achilles in Game 5 against Toronto Raptors. Same thing here. Tyrese Haliburton is a calf injury. People like Kendrick Perkins are saying, be careful. If it's a calf injury, you don't want him playing. There's bigger things than just one playoff game. Yes, it's the NBA Finals, but do you really want to have your superstar miss all of next season or win a Game 5, win a Game 6, which I think they could have won without Haliburton. So it was tough to see that calf injury turn into a torn Achilles in Game 7. Let's hope Tyrese Haliburton comes back on the court in 26, 27, better than ever. But that's tough, and that's the recap of the NBA Finals, where SGA and Jalen Williams and Mark Daiglenut, Sam Presti, and the Oklahoma City Thunder got their first ever NBA championship. The NBA draft is this week, and I can't wait for it, where I'm going to give you my 14-pick lottery mock draft. Later on the episode, we'll have some surprises in there. It'll be a ton of fun. Kevin Durant has been traded over to the Houston Rockets in exchange for the number 10 overall pick, 5 second-round picks, Jalen Green, and Dylan Brooks. I'll talk about it later in the episode, but wow, what a haul for the Phoenix Suns in this trade. Switch things over to the MLB, where Cal Raleigh, the big dumper, you could call him, that's his nickname, catcher for the Seattle Mariners, has 31 home runs a few weeks before the All-Star break. Most ever by a catcher before the All-Star break, and most ever by a switch hitter before the All-Star break, and there's still so much time until we get to that break. Cal Raleigh rivaling Aaron Judge for MVP in the AL. My New York Mets were on a tear. They won about 7 straight games, and then they lost 7 in a row. They've lost 8 out of their last 9. They're not playing good baseball, and it's tough to see. A guy like Francisco Alvarez gets sent down AAA for the first time, really seems like, in a while in his career. I think it's actually the first time in his career since he's been called up that he's been sent down. But the Mets are in a funk right now, and they're going to have to figure it out. Now second place in the division. Shohei Ohtani is back on the mound pitching, but he's only going 1 inning. Both of his starts have gone 1 inning. He's still the best hitter in the National League. But pitching-wise, we talked about last week, what lane would I take? Should Ohtani pitch for the rest of his career and cut the hitting out, which obviously won't happen? Or should he just hit for the rest of his career and say, no, I'm not going to do the pitching? Or what about both? Keep it going for both. I said he should just do the hitting because, yes, you can extend your career by a lot by doing that, by not having the pressure on your arm of pitching so much, which he should do. And I think that's also why he's on this pitching limit, because he's such a great hitter. Why would you want to risk that injury with pitching? 1 inning, like I said, for both his starts so far, Shohei Ohtani. Switch things over to the NHL, where the Florida Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers for the 2nd year in a row. What a series that was for them. And back-to-back NHL champions. And in the College World Series, the LSU Tigers win their 2nd championship in the past 3 years. Congrats to them. That's about for the headlines this week. Now I went to Fanatics Fest this week, and I had a great time. It's really a sports pandemonium, sports legendary area to go to if you are a huge sports fan like me. You can go in the Netflix activations, you can go in the football activations, you can run the 40-yard dash, you can just shoot threes with CJ Stroud, you can play hockey, you can do whatever you want there. And also, I got a few good interviews in there with Malik Neighbors, star of the New York Giants, and Jackson Dart. I even got this big hat right here, New York Giants hat. Throw it on right there to where you can walk around all day with a 3-pound hat on your head. I didn't do that, but just getting a hat like this, it's funny. We'll have to make one of these for Schoolyard Sports. But Fanatics Fest was a great event. Here are the interviews I had with Malik Neighbors and Jackson Dart. Schoolyard Sports fans out here at Fanatics Fest with Giants superstar wide receiver Malik Neighbors. Malik, if they were to be an NFL team of all those players, could they win a Super Bowl?
He's there.
All right, Schoolyard Sports fans, we're here at Fanatics Fest with the newest New York Giant, Jackson Dart. Jackson, what do you think will be the biggest difference playing in the SEC and playing in the NFL?
Well, I think that the SEC is the best conference to get you ready for the NFL, but obviously you're going to take a big jump. I would say probably just the closing speed of the defenders and just the playmaking ability on the back end, as well as the edge rushers up front.
Physical conference, physical league. Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.
Again, thank you to Fanatics for hosting a great event. Definitely would want to be back there next year. Still more to come on Schoolyard Sports Lane and Frank, episode 220. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is, did you know the first ever NBA draft in 1966, the order was decided by a coin flip and there wasn't official formal lottery until 1985. So from 1966 to 1985, the NBA draft order was decided by a coin flip. Like who got the number one pick the Magic Johnson year, and so many other great players were picked from 1966 to 1985. They were decided by coin flip to see who gets those top picks. Did you know that? Leave down in the comments. That's about for Did You Know this week. It's NBA draft time. It's time for me to give you my full lottery NBA mock draft. Let's hop into it. We've got a lot of great players in this year's draft. I talked about it last week, where I said usually in the NBA draft, the quality of players drops off after the top 5, top 7, but this year we've got a plethora of talent, and I can't wait to get into this mock draft. So with the first pick in the 2025 NBA mock draft, Schoolyard Sports has the Dallas Mavericks taking Cooper Flagg, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center out of Duke, because this guy can play whatever position he wants to play on the court. Now, mainly at Duke, he played small forward and power forward, but this guy, he has dribbling skills out of this world for a guy of his size at 6'7". He can shoot the ball amazingly. He's a great defender to play small forward. He's a big enough presence at power forward, and he rebounds like a center. He's a complete prospect. You want to look at LeBron James type of prodigy guy? Cooper Flagg is there, and this has been in the works for months. With Cooper Flagg being the number 1 overall pick, it's been in the work for years. You just didn't know what team it was going to be. But Cooper Flagg to the Mavericks at number 1. They struck gold, and they're not passing up on that chance. With the 2nd overall pick in the Schoolyard Sports 2025 NBA mock draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Dylan Harper, shooting guard out of Rutgers. Now, this is a pick where I think the Spurs are going to do this pick. I don't know if they should do this pick. Because, yes, I have the number 2 overall pick. Maybe you should have traded that pick. And they still could. This is being filmed on Monday. Draft is Wednesday, but you have a lot of guards in this team. You have Stephon Castle, you have De'Aaron Fox, you have Devin Vassell. Do you really need another scorer when you have a guy like Victor Wembanyama on your team? Now, Dylan Harper had a great season at Rutgers. Not team-wise, but playing-wise, he had a great season himself. Few injuries in there, but he'll play well against De'Aaron Fox. I just don't know what happens to guys like Devin Vassell and Stephon Castle in there. But Dylan Harper goes number 2 to San Antonio right here. Let's go. Rutgers. Number 2, Dylan Harper to San Antonio. 3, the 3rd overall pick in the Schoolyard Sports NBA mock draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Ace Bailey, power forward out of Rutgers. There's a lot of controversy about Ace Bailey. This is a guy who's been built around controversy his whole entire career. Goes to Rutgers after being from Georgia, and everybody's saying, you're a top recruit. What are you doing going to Rutgers? Well, I'm going to go play with Dylan Harper. I'm going to go see if I can be a superstar with Dylan Harper. Obviously wasn't team-wise, but he played great himself. You watch Ace Bailey, he was tearing up on the court. When Dylan Harper wasn't there, he was a menace. When Dylan Harper was there, he was still a menace on the court. He can dunk like crazy. He can shoot the lights out One thing he can't do is dribble, which is why he's not better than Cooper Flagg. But if you want a Kevin Durant type of guy who can shoot it from anywhere and make it from anywhere, Ace Bailey's that guy. Paul George said in his podcast this year, Podcast P, that he thought Ace Bailey was the best player in this draft class. Paul George is nearing the end of his career. They have many issues in this team right now with Joel Embiid and a few other guys. I think Ace Bailey is going to be a perfect addition to this team. You can say what you want, that this guy, Ace Bailey, isn't doing work with teams, that he has no idea what he's doing. There's going to be the next Marvin Bagley, Josh Jackson, Hasheem the big bust in there. But I don't think so. I think Ace Bailey is going to be a great player. He's just being misled a little bit by his agent, Omar Cooper. But let's go with Ace Bailey, number 3, to the Philadelphia 76ers. The 4th pick in the Schoolyard Sports NBA mock draft, the Charlotte Hornets are on the clock, and they select Trey Johnson, shooting guard, small forward out of Texas. When I think of guys like Devin Booker, it's hard for me to find a comparison, but this year, I did in Trey Johnson. He's a great dunker. He's a great shooter. He can spot it from anywhere. You watch him at Texas, he could take over games there at UT, and I think he'll do it in the NBA with the Charlotte Hornets. A great shooting guard to pair with LaMelo Ball. Have LaMelo Ball at the 1, Trey Johnson at the 2, and Brandon Miller at the 3. I don't have them taking VJ Edgecombe here because VJ Edgecombe doesn't really wow me as much as, say, a Trey Johnson does. VJ Edgecombe can, yes, have some great dunks in there, but when you actually watch him, I don't know if he's that guy who you say, yeah, he's going to elevate your team that much in a game. I think he's a great player, but he's not a top 4 pick. Trey Johnson is, in my opinion, and that's why I have him going number 4 over the Charlotte Hornets. With the 5th overall pick, I have the Utah Jazz taking Concanipple, shooting guard out of Duke. Concanipple is actually a very big shooting guard. He's around 6'6", 6'7". He's a great shooter, maybe the best shooter in college basketball last season. He's a great addition to this Jazz team. Colin Sexton at the 1, Concanipple at the 3. You could throw whoever in at the 2, Concanipple. You could throw whoever in at 3. It could be Larry Markkinen. It could be even Walker Kessler. He's a center, but he could play a position like the 3 or the 4 if they do want to switch him there one day, if they do even want to keep him on this team. I'm going to go with Concanipple to the Jazz, number 5. New president, Austin Ainge. I think he'll like this Duke guy right here. So Concanipple, 5, the Utah Jazz. With the 6th pick in the Schoolyard Sports NBA mock draft, I have the Washington Wizards taking another Duke player here, and Kaman Malawak. Kaman Malawak didn't play basketball until he was about 17 years old, but boy, did he get good at it quick. Through the NBA Africa program, he learned all the fundamentals. He has good technique. Kaman Malawak has so much upside in this draft class. If you're looking for someone with upside, he might have more upside than Cooper Flagg, Ace Bailey, Concanipple, whoever it might be. And I think that's what the Wizards need. The Wizards are many players away from a championship, and Kaman Malawak is just going to be a part of that project. It's going to be perfect for him. Maybe he plays in the G League for his first year. Maybe he doesn't. But Kaman Malawak is going to be the number 6 overall pick to the Washington Wizards. It's going to work out perfectly for them. With the 7th overall pick, the New Orleans Pelicans are on the clock, and I have them taking the player who has slid the most for me in this draft class, VJ Edgecombe. Fits in nicely here. DeJounte Murray at the 1, VJ Edgecombe at the 2, Zion Williamson at the 3. VJ Edgecombe is a good spot shooter. He's a great dunker. Spread the court out a little bit. Just not as good as Concanipple and Trey Johnson, in my opinion. But I'm going to go VJ Edgecombe. Still a great player at number 7 to the New Orleans Pelicans. Number 8, the Brooklyn Nets are on the clock, and they take Jeremiah Fears, point guard out of Oklahoma. This might seem like another Cam Thomas, which isn't the worst comparison because, yes, Jeremiah Fears loves to take over games. He loves to shoot it from wherever on the court, and it works 75% of the time in college, which means it works 25% of the time in the NBA. But eventually, one day, Jeremiah Fears is going to bowl into a great player in the NBA. That's why I have him going number 8 to the Brooklyn Nets. A point guard who doesn't play traditional point guard play, where he's not passing the ball as much as he should be, but he's still a great spot shooter, can still facilitate his way to the rim, penetrate in there. Brooklyn Nets take Jeremiah Fears, point guard, out of Oklahoma. Number 9, the Toronto Raptors are on the clock, where I have them taking Derek Queen. Derek Queen can be like a Pascal Siakam. 6'10", can shoot a great mid-range shot. Maybe my favorite player from college basketball last season is Derek Queen, a guy who had that buzzer beater against Colorado State, a guy who has the most confidence of anybody in this draft class, a guy who gets to the rim at ease. Derek Queen can play center or power forward for you. He's going to be great in the NBA. He's a good Pascal Siakam, in my opinion. Derek Queen to the Raptors. I picked number 9. Number 10. The Phoenix Suns are on the clock from that Houston Rockets trade, where I have them going safe here, taking Carter Bryant out of Arizona. Going safe, taking a guy from down the road to Arizona. Easy pick, Not much to say here. Carter Bryant, number 10 to the Phoenix Suns. He had a great NCAA tournament. Number 11, the Portland Trail Blazers are on the clock. With the 11th overall pick, they take Liam McNeely, small forward out of UConn. Blazers, they have a lot of great talent now. They have Denny Avdia, Shaden Sharp, Nalvin Klingon, Scoot Henderson. One thing they're lacking is a real spot-up shooter who can be your Kyle Korver, Doug McDermott, spot-up shooter, Klay Thompson even, type of guy. And I think that's what Liam McNeely is. He had a great freshman season at UConn, shooting the ball amazingly. He's not going to be your best player, but he's going to be a great shooter, and he's going to be a consistent starter for 15 years in this league. Liam McNeely is going to be a star in this league as a shooter. 11, Portland Trail Blazers. They take a future three-point contest winner in Liam McNeely. The 12th overall pick, Chicago Bulls are on the clock, where I have them taking Colin Murray Boyles out of South Carolina. A lot of people don't know about this guy. He had a great freshman year at South Carolina. They just didn't have a good season as a team. He's 6'7", plays like a Patrick Williams, and I think that Patrick Williams scenario has gone horribly in Chicago. So if they want to dump Patrick Williams, you're going to get a Colin Murray Boyles in there to play like him, play off the bench, and be a solid starter in this league at some point in his career. Colin Murray Boyles goes number 12 to Chicago Bulls, and that's who you want at pick number 12. Just a guy who can be a consistent starter for you somewhere down the line. 13th overall pick, the Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. Well, they don't need a point guard. They don't need a shooting guard. They don't need a power forward. They'll take a small forward here, and Igor Durman out of BYU. He's a project, but he's 6'9", had a good NCAA tournament. He's one of my favorite players from last season in college basketball. He could play a lot of positions in the court. I think he fits in nicely at small forward. Maybe a Franz Wagner type of comparison here for him. Igor Durman out of BYU, 13 to the Atlanta Hawks. And with the last pick in the Schoolyard Sports NBA mock draft, the San Antonio Spurs are on the clock for the second time, where they take small forward out of France, a Wemby pick, Noah Assange out of France. I think that's a perfect pick for them right here. Taking a guy out of France, he could play like a Devin Vassell, he could play a lot of positions. Noah Assange, 14 to the San Antonio Spurs. And that's about for the Schoolyard Sports NBA mock draft. Let's see how many picks I get right. Enjoy the draft on Wednesday. Now, it's time for a little Schoolyard Sports Scream. And this week, I'm screaming on the NBA. Adam Silver does a great job with a lot of things in the NBA. The All-Star Game and the playoffs are not one of them. All-Star Game is a separate conversation. But for the playoffs, it's a messed up system. And I'm not talking about how it's 1 through 8 in the East, 1 through 8 in the West, and you have the playing games. All that's fine with me. But when we talk about NBA, it shouldn't be 1 through 16. It shouldn't, no league is like that. But it should be a lot shorter. We think of the NFL playoffs. NFL regular season is very entertaining, but players get banged up in the regular season, so the playoffs are a lot shorter. Now, you can't have single elimination because it's not college basketball. We're not amateurs here, where one game decides your whole entire fate of the season. It's fun in college basketball for the amateurs. It doesn't work with the pros. NFL, of course, it's one game because that's how football is played, but the playoffs are about 3 weeks, 4 weeks in the NFL. Why can't the NBA playoffs at least be a little bit shorter? Be a 5 to 6 week span. Not from mid-April to late June. Because that's what it is right now, and it's ridiculous, in my opinion. I remember watching the Lakers-Timberwolves series, and it was around mid-April. Baseball is barely starting. Now baseball's in full swing. It's ridiculous to me. The playoffs are too long. The play-in is fine. Keep the play-in how it is. That's fine. The first 2 rounds of the NBA playoffs should be best of 5 games. It should not be best of 7. It takes too long. Most of these series are sweeps anyways, but you still have to wait the full amount to play those 7 games. NBA Finals are way too late in the summer, in my opinion. It's well into summer. NBA Finals should really start around May 15th and end June 1st. They should not take this long. You should not have 2 days between games in the NBA Finals when you don't do it for any other series. Have the first 2 rounds be best of 5 games. Have the conference finals be best of 7. That's kind of how the MLB does it, where they have best of 3 for the first round, best of 5 for the second round, and best of 7 for the last 2 rounds. That's a perfect concept, in my opinion. The NBA will not adopt that. Ridiculous, in my opinion, and that's why I'm screaming on Adam Silver in the NBA this week, because that's why these injuries happen. That's why Tyrese Halliburton, Jason Tatum, and Damian Lillard, none of these guys are going to be able to play next season, and it's because of how long the NBA playoffs are. I'm fine with an 82-game season. I love an 82-game season, but make the playoffs a lot shorter, and this will be a much better situation where we won't have injuries like this happening. I'm no genie, but I'm going to tell you that these injuries, these freak accidents, aren't happening if you're playing 100 games in a season. That's about for my scream this week on the NBA and why the playoffs should be shorter. Now, at the buzzer. This week's At the Buzzer, I want to introduce you to who I think could be a Schoolyard Sports star one day, and Jacob Misiorowski, new pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have a very underrated rotation right now, with all starters having sub-4 ERAs. Jose Quintana, Brandon Woodruff. My favorite guy in there is rookie Jacob Misiorowski. Only 2 starts, but he's only given up 2 runs. In his first start, he threw 6 no-hit innings and had to leave because after a huge strikeout, he stepped off the mound too loosely and tripped and rolled his ankle. Went out of start. But 6 no-hit innings in your first MLB start, it's incredible. It's a feat almost nobody's ever done. And he had a bunch of strikeouts in there. He was throwing a 96-mile-an-hour slider. Some people say it's a cutter. I say it's a slider. He throws a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. Then in his next start, he goes out there and throws 5 no-hit innings, going crazy right there. So first 11 innings of his MLB career are all no-hitters. Only gives up 1 hit in that game. It was a home run, a 2-run blast, which does suck, but he still got the win, still is a great player. Is going up against Paul Skeens on Wednesday. This is an ace for the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm a bit upset as a Mets fan because David Stearns, when he was with the Milwaukee Brewers, he picked this guy. David Stearns knew he was going to the Mets the next year. A lot of people did, but why couldn't he trade his hidden gem over to the New York Mets so they could have an ace for the future? Because Jacob Misiorowski is going to be an ace for the MLB. Brandon Woodruff is an ace already for the Brewers, but this guy's coming for a spot very soon. A 96-mile-an-hour slider is superhuman, and Jacob Misiorowski is superhuman on the mound. That's about for the buzzer this week, where I introduce you to Jacob Misiorowski, the next MLB star. Now, question today. Who will win the NBA championship next year? I think you gotta go with the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that's coming back next year and looking to build a dynasty, especially with so many superstars being out for the whole season next year, like Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, and Damian Lillard. Leave your thoughts in the comments on who you think wins the NBA championship next year. I'm going OKC all the way. That's about for question day this week. That's about for Schoolyard Sports with Lane Frank, episode 220. Thank you for tuning in. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sport. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review for the best sports content in the world. Be back here next week, episode 221. Stay tuned.